And welcome to Mumbles Community Council monthly meeting, 10th of December. Firstly, my name's Councillor Will Thomas. I'm Vice Chair. The Chair, Martin O'Neill, who's to my right, he's not feeling too well today, so I'll be chairing the meeting today. Firstly, I'd like to say welcome back to Councillor Rebecca Fogarty, who is on. Welcome back, Rebecca. Hope you're raring to go, and look forward to working with you again very soon. Firstly, can I have apologies for absence, please?
I haven't got any apologies, Chair.
Thank you. Declarations of interest. Does anyone have any declarations of interest on anything on the agenda? No. Okay, Kerry, would you like to? Item 20, personal. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? No. Okay. Public participation. This is an opportunity for members of the public to speak about items on the agenda. Does anyone wish to speak about anything in particular? No?
No, I don't. I'm not speaking as a member of the public.
Number four, item number four rather, minutes of the meeting held on the 12th of November. So if I'm assuming everyone's been through those, but if we just go page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6. No. Okay, so we'll take those as a true record of the meeting, and we'll move on to the clerk's report. So over to the clerk.
So just two things for me really to highlight to you all. So the first one is that we were successful in our grant funding application to Swansea City Council. I asked for £12,500 and we got awarded £9,920. This is from the Tackle Poverty Fund. So this will enable us to do the half-term family fun days, additional coffee with friends on a Thursday, but it's going to be with a slight twist on it. So they're going to be more of advisory drop-in sessions from different organisations, i.e. citizens, warm space advice, cancer support if you've got members of family going through cancer and that type of support. So they're going to be slightly different from what we do on a Tuesday. We've also got holiday food as well, which means we can provide free lunches at the family fun days. And we also got an additional money for direct food, which is something that Rebecca's just recently started working on, which is a new pantry in West Cross, which will be delivering emergency parcels to people over the Christmas period. So that funding needs to be spent on tinned food. So Rebecca was quite shocked because she initially wanted to. I managed to get her 1,500.
Need a bigger car.
The next thing for myself is to just obviously make you aware of the Christmas hours of the office over the Christmas period. So due to the majority of the staff working 4-day weeks, we're going to be finishing Friday the 20th of on the office. The office will then be open. The office will then reopen on 6th of January. During this period, staff will be either working from home, taking annual leave or taking Hoyle, but to ensure that we are still contactable for members of the public, there will be a dedicated mobile telephone number for people to call over that period. And we will circulate this amongst all councillors and obviously on social media and on the notice board, so everybody are aware of the opening hours and obviously the number that will be available for people to contact. And that was it from me. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Clark.
Just say, the outside here looks absolutely fantastic, and I know that the Clark and Diane have worked very hard to get funding for that, to get it all sorted. It looks lovely. So thank you very much for everything you've done.
I was also Clara and Paul as well.
Yes, just to say a big thank you to Kerry for the grant applications that she put in. It's fantastic that we've got that money to help us through over the winter. Different hubs, fun days, community pantry, etc. So big thanks to you for that, Kerry.
Like that. Thank you very much, Kerry. Continue that. Village. Right, onto the chair's report now. Obviously, this is Martin's, I will read out, I'm guessing you.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so just, yeah, no worries, so just looking at this first time. On November the 16th, I was honoured to present the awards of the Essence of Mumbles event at Theo's Coffee Shop in Mumbles Methodist Church. It was a lovely little community event, and it was really great to meet some of the people who submitted entries and others who were just interested in coming along to have a look at the exhibition. I want to take this opportunity of the report to express our thanks to Theo's and Mumbles Methodist Church for the help and support that they provided Mumbles Community Council in staging the exhibition. As I think it's a good example of how Mumbles Community Council can work in partnership with the community venue and also community-based businesses to put a community event right at the heart of the community. I hope that this will be the first of a number of events where we can again work with the Methodist Church and Theo's on future community events. Of course, as we are near the main event of the festive season, our MCC Christmas events start to become more common. Of course, one of the main ones at this time of the year is the annual switching on of the Christmas lights at Oystermouth. This year, we were fortunate with the weather, which contributed to an outstanding attendance at the event. Local businesses, particularly on Newton Hill, benefited from the amount of people at the event attracted. We had a stellar cast to switch on the illuminations, which included the High Sheriff of West Glamorgan, the Lord Mayor of Swansea, Alan Wynne-Jones, and the man himself, Father Christmas. The event was expertly hosted by our own Angela O'Connor, and the overall feel of the whole event was joyous and celebratory, as it should be. As some of you may be aware, unfortunately, however, following the event, we received a number of complaints, mostly in relation to the unannounced use of fireworks. Although these were not part of the planned MCC activity at the event, we are currently in the process of investigating this occurrence with City and County of Swansea, as it appears the fireworks were launched off their land. Just last Friday, I attended a festive fun event at Newton Christmas lunch. The pupils of Newton Primary School sang beautifully, and a delicious lunch was served to all the local residents who attended. Local volunteers, church members, and community councillors all came to put on what was a memorable event. As I'm sure I don't need to let you know that last Saturday we were visited by Storm Dara, which caused significant amount of damage across the locality. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank local councillors, Swansea Council, Knights Brown, and particularly our staff, Claire and Kerry, for raising the challenges on Sunday morning in sorting various issues out quickly. Thank you, Councillor. Okay. Yes, of course. Okay, so this moves us on to item number 7, which is the co-option of 2 new councillors. One is for the Males Ward and one councillor for Oystermouth. Now, we've only had one application for males. So if we go to that one first. Okay, so in your meeting pack, you will see statements from the people interested in joining the council. And there's only one from males, which is Laura Gilbert. And I believe we have to take a vote on that, Clark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it would be a vote to accept Laura onto the council as she's uncontested. So could I see a show of hands for, please?
And you will just stick them up so I can see as well.
As well.
She's not here.
Yeah, but apologies on that. I think there's been miscommunication. I don't think she realised she should be here. So yeah. But if elected, I'm sure she'll be at the next meeting.
Okay, congratulations to Laura, and we'll assume make her aware of that. Obviously, they have to sign the declaration. Okay, so moving on to Oystermouth, we have 3 candidates for Oystermouth. Trevor Carr, John Norman, and Gary Burghardt. So what the clerk has told me to do is basically, if I read out the councillor's name, and if you could give me the name of the person that you would like to vote for, then after that round, the candidate with the least amount of votes is eliminated, and then we would do the same again. So any questions on that first before we go forward?
So we have one vote.
At the first round.
Okay.
And then you'll have
Okay.
a second round. So I'm going to read names out of all the councillors. So if you could just literally just say the first or second name of the person that you support. So Pam, you're first.
John.
Rhian is not here. So I think Rebecca,
John Norman.
Hannah, not here. Richard,
God.
Phil Keaton.
John.
So I'm taking my time over this, and making sure I'm putting them in all the right boxes. Yeah, 'cause- yeah, need some tense music. Sarah,
John.
Rob,
Gavin Burkhardt.
Jessica, Angela,
Trevor.
Tim,
Gary Burker.
Ian,
Trevor.
myself, I'll Trevor, Carrie,
John Norman.
Tim is not here, is he? No. Okay, so that makes it 4. Okay, 4 to Trevor.
6 to John and 3 to Gary.
6 to John, 3 to Gary. Okay, thank you. So on to the next round.
Just to clarify, sorry, it has been absolute majority. Person. So obviously we go into the next round now, which is Gary's unfortunately struck from that because he had the least votes.
Right. Okay.
So is it one vote again, Clark?
Yes.
Sorry about that, Gary. Hopefully we'll see you around here again in the future. And there's often, as you know, places coming up and things.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Goodness, forward.
Yes.
Always tricky, these things. Okay, so if I could have Pam's vote again, please. Pam?
John.
Leanne's not here. Rebecca?
John Norman.
Anna's not here. Richard?
Trevor Carr.
Phil Keaton?
John.
Don't know why I say your surname. Yeah. Sarah?
John.
Rob?
Trevor Carr.
Helen? Francesca?
Trevor.
Angela?
Trevor.
Martin?
Trevor Carr.
Ian?
Trevor.
Myself, which is Trevor. And Carrie?
John Norman.
And Tim, who's not here. Okay, so just tally these up 1 second. Confirm that from the clerk, it's very close.
Sorry, it's my fault.
I just remembered I got my Christmas box. White over the Christmas tree. You see Santa's nose.
I can confirm that Trevor Carr has been voted onto Mumbles Community Council, so providing that he fills out his declarations and signs them, that he would be elected to Mumbles Community Council.
So is he not here?
He's not here now.
Just a minute. I think it's really poor that those people are not here tonight.
He didn't know also.
And you should have found out. Yeah, I think it's poor. We all have to go through an election. Yeah. I just, deliver leaflets to 3,000 houses.
Is that something you can add on to if one of the council suspicious too?
Those maybe like.
Yeah, I would argue that, to be honest. Well, it's not a nice, for some people, if we're trying to be embracing members of the community, I think sometimes our reputation goes before ourselves as not being the most hospitable, but hopefully that will be a nice.
Okay, we're going to park that. We understand where you come from. I think if you spoke to them, they might understand that there's different circumstances. Okay, moving on to item number 8, financial report. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
Just to say to the candidates and to Mark, obviously, because the co-option is over, you're more than welcome to stay and observe the rest of the meeting. We're not going to kick you out. It's entirely until we get to the part where we have to exclude members of the public. But yeah,
Missing.
Yeah. You can even watch it back if you really. Financial report for November 2024. In everyone's packs, if they have obviously had a chance to go through the figures. Been through the figures, and does anyone have any questions on them? I'll give everyone a second, because I think this is always important that people, when we fly through this, it's always we go through it a bit too quickly sometimes, so people just to there's a lot of money that's going out, and see. But there's no questions on any of those things. Okay, so the payments made by the RFO on November 2024 are retrospectively approved. All those in favour? Okay, it's carried. Thank you. New budget monitoring report. Budget monitor to be approved. Again, all those in favour? And number 3 is to consider the hiring fees for the Ostream. You jump in.
Yeah, being asked by the Ostream Centre Manager to make the point of calling work on 5% and rounded to the nearest £1 or 50 pence, depending on how the 5% came out. The Centre Manager has asked me to let council know that normally prior to the Ostream falling under the care of council, that they just used to increase by £1, and she would feel that it would be better if all the charges just went up by £1, but obviously it's down to council to determine which way they wish to go.
Yeah, so this is in everyone's packs. It's around a 5% increase, but keeping it tidy, which is easier for advertising and accounts. But if anyone's got any issues with that, but the increase amounts are here in the pack, so if there's no questions on that, we'll obviously go with a recommendation from the Ostream Manager and the clerk. So all those in favour, support the higher fees.
So rounded going up by £1, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, the proposed recommendation.
This is 5%, no, this is £1.
So what has happened is that some of this, maybe we should make this clear. So as you can see, I rounded up by 5%, and the charge for the main hall went from £18 to £19, and then for the arts and crafts room it went from £14.50 to £15. So obviously it's gone up by 50p for the arts and craft room, but £1 for the main hall, by the 5%. So what the Centre Manager is asking is that everything goes up by £1 across the board, and so that may be slightly over 5% on some of them. So in the arts and craft room we go to £15.50 an hour as opposed to 15.
So not what's on here.
No, that's what he's at.
Right.
So it's for council to go with either the recommendation of the RFO, which is in front of you.
What have we just approved?
It's approved. Was what we were talking about then. That was what we just voted on.
So we were voting on what was on the paper.
Proposed on the piece of paper.
I didn't realise that we did something other.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, again, maybe we went through that a bit quick, but we have voted on that, Clark. So, yeah. Rob.
Just ask a question on the PRS and PPL. Is that, that's obviously payment we do as a lump sum to Home Rights Society, PPL each year, is it?
So this is what we charge people.
Using our licence.
They have got their own, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so number 9, review policies, the pay policy. So I understand from finance, there was a policy sub-working group which was set up, and the recommendation is to accept the pay policy, but is there?
Just to add, Chair, the pay policy did go forward to Finance Committee, and then it went to the policy sub-working group.
Yes.
We met last week to go through the 3 policies that are in front of you this evening to make sure that they were.
The subgroup like 2 or 3,
Yeah, they were drafted correctly and everything else before they come to council for recommendation.
Okay, thanks. Ian, would you like to speak on this, Chair of Finance?
Yes, I was on the, excuse me, on this particular working group. The budget increase on salaries, national insurance, pensions. And it does amount to a considerable sum of money, a considerable increase.
What's this about the policy? And also you're not chairing.
But I wasn't on the policy.
Sorry, yeah, he's not.
Yeah.
He did used to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's later on. Okay. All right, so, yeah, just voting on the recommendation to accept the pay policy. So, all those in favour? Thank you. Next policy is the safeguarding policy. I know, obviously, the last time the clerk informed me, the last time we did this was 2004. So thank you to her for obviously bringing this to attention and doing the work that is required to put this together. The one thing that stands out here is that every councillor in this proposal is that every councillor would have a DBS check. So that's obviously one thing that I'm certainly not worried about, but I don't know if there's anyone sweating.
So I just remembered I haven't filled the form in for work.
All right. Could have been worse. Okay, Phil, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, there's just the question, what cost implication will this have for us?
It's not a huge amount. No, it's really not. And a lot of people will already have them as governors or through other. No, I think we said we would agree transferability.
All I'm observing from that is that there will need to be a small budget put to one
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, could we maybe put that into the budget, monitor the budget, speak to Paul and ask them to
Take them now. It can come from contingency because as you've just voted on your budget management report, you've only utilised 32.5% of your current budget so far.
Okay.
This year, so there is money there that we can obviously either buy or use from contingency. And then obviously, I don't know how long the DBS check lasts for because I've never had one before. So we'd have to factor that in every 3 years.
Okay, thanks. Rob, do you want to?
Yeah, just as you know, we all do the family fun days were around children. I think it should be absolutely required that we all have these because it covers our own backs.
Yeah, that's a good point actually, and whether if we have volunteers working for us at such events, that maybe that should be a requirement really. I mean, that's probably for a committee to take up. Maybe Ange, you could take that up in the events committee. That I know we've talked about these sort of things in the past with volunteer coordinator roles and things that always get cut from the budget, but this might be something that's worth thinking about. We'll push that off to a committee rather than talk about it now. Yeah, so safeguarding policy, obviously to accept that, all those in favour? Yep. Right, terms and conditions of the hire policy. Kerry, you wanted to,
Yeah, there's just a slight amendment that, obviously after discussion with the office manager who have had this, new terms and conditions prior to me bringing them to finance and governance and prior to me bringing them to the policy working group. Point 22, we need to amend 22.1. That says it currently reads that regular hires will be invoiced on the 23rd of every month with payment due within 7 days. The current practice is to invoice regular hires on the 1st of every month with payment due by the 25th, and that's the term that the Osprey Centre manager would like to retain. It's obviously down to council to agree whether they want it as it is worded already in the document or whether they want that amendment in. And
Okay.
then obviously whether you agree with policy as a whole.
okay, thank you. And again, thanks for doing this because I'm sure it didn't just make itself. So thank you very much for putting that together. So the clerk's recommending, based on the comments from the venue manager, that there's a slight change on the date on 22.1. But is there any other questions about any other part of the standard conditions of the hire of the Austrian Centre models policy? The fun one. Okay, if there's no other questions, we'll add that change that you wanted, and yeah, all those in favour, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Report from Chair, right, report from Chair of Finance and Compliance Committee, please.
Yeah, basically the last meeting we had was all about the budget. So that was, there were two things we carried over. One was the Bowls Club. We wanted more information from the Bowls Club before we went on to them. And there's also another thing which is coming up later on the agenda in the closed session. But the main part was about the budget.
About the Bowls Club and tell people what it was.
Yeah, we've had a letter back. So basically, the Bowls Club asked for a grant, and it was questioned why we would give a grant to people who had a certain amount of money in the bank. And they have written back to Kerry and explained their situation. So I don't know if Kerry, do you want to go through that?
I don't think it's probably right to go through
No,
the
it needs
detail of
to
it.
Okay, yeah, there we are.
Just an overview is good though. It's good
And
to know what's going on.
It was sort out who's going to be on the policy committee to look at the policies we've just been talking about.
Cool. Great. Any questions for Rob, anyone? Any more questions? No, all right, thanks, Rob. Report from Community and Social Development Committee Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Just to highlight the fact that the issue regarding the exercise equipment on West Cross Seafront was again discussed. We are in receipt of quotes and photographs of the 3 proposed pieces of exercise equipment. Cost of the 3 items is under the ceiling of the sum of money that had been agreed for the purchase of the equipment, and the remainder to be returned to the MCC contingency fund. So they recommend to purchase and install the 3 pieces of exercise equipment at the West Cross Seafront. Again, a big part of the meeting was with regards to the 25-26 draft budget. And that, are we allowed to disclose these figures, Clark, please?
Figures are you wanting to disclose?
Sorry, have they frozen? Is it just me?
No, I was wondering the same. I think they've either frozen or there's no
Can't hear
sound.
anything either.
and they're sitting very still.
Yeah.
Very unlikely, very unlikely. The sound has been going. How's the sound with you two? Because it's off.
Well, it
off
was
and on
okay,
here.
but when you said about it, now it's gone funny.
Oh, cursed it, I have.
It had been
Oh.
fine prior to that.
Hmm.
So I
I
don't
wonder if
know.
they can hear us. They might be able to
Yeah,
hear
they're
us.
frozen. I'll message Carrie.
Oh, they're gone. Okay, bye.
Oh, are we going?
No, I think
But
hang
they'll
on,
come back,
they'll
you
come
mean?
back, won't they? When they've worked it out.
Yeah, hopefully. How you getting on, Rebecca? Is your little baby there?
Yeah, he's here. Yeah, it's tricky, isn't
Aw.
it? Doing these meetings are just a bit funny time, aren't they? They're sort of just on
Yeah,
bedtime.
they're not great today. I've got my two trying to eat food and trying to tell them to eat food and get their pajamas on and hurry up and it's time for
Yeah.
bed. I hope this
It's
isn't all
tricky.
public now.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh
Yeah,
well.
it's true. We are. Yeah.
I'll go and put him down in a minute. Maybe I should be using this opportunity to try and get him to sleep.
Yeah, that's true. Going on then.
Should we try and leave and come back, maybe? I'm always nervous of doing that in case I can't get back in.
I was going to say, I don't think we should go anywhere. They'll come back when they can, I'm sure.
Right.
I don't know whether I hope they know that they're off though. Do you know what I
I've
mean?
sent Carrie a message to say that they've completely frozen and gone now.
Ah, that's good. And can she see it now? Do you think she'll look at it?
Yeah, she will. I hope she does.
Yeah, I'll just maybe
Temptation to go and use this time to make myself another cup of tea is vast.
halted for us. Halted for us. Yeah, I'm just meeting halted for us. I just text Francesca saying meetings halted for us. Oh, hello. Oh.
I've had a text message, but here we are. Phil, connection dead this end. They're rebooting the computer.
Oh yeah, Will's put in the main group seem to be cut off. Meeting is paused and we'll try and get you back.
Okay, great. And Carrie's just texted me separately as well. This is hilarious. I don't need 3 different messages to tell me the same thing.
Should we take a 5-minute break then?
Yeah, I'm going to go and put the baby down.
Okay. See you in 5.
See ya.
Bye.
Bought some of the agendas from some of the awesome meetings that have got plenty of stuff in there. The Underhill and that. I particularly note the significant sum paid to Welsh Government every year. Significant sum paid to Welsh Government every year. Like 97,000.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's a big commitment. It was. Something had to happen.
It's great. It's just good. They simply let me to know how much of a commitment.
Yeah. Do we want to just chat? Do you mind dropping her a message and we'll carry on? Ian, is it recording again? Exactly. Right. Where were we? We just finished. Had you finished, Ian? Yeah. Okay, we finished.
To say under community and social, please.
Okay.
When we were discussing the budget, there was a huge amount of money to pay towards Underhill. I'd like to point out to everybody who brought it forward, we do not have one piece of paper, not one piece of evidence, not one estimate of anything. And you can't put a massive amount
Let's
of.
stop you there. Sorry, Pam. Terry did say that because we have not brought these things forward to the budget.
Well, I'm
They
giving
said
you,
just don't talk about anything.
okay, I wasn't going to mention numbers.
And be
But
vague.
there's not one estimate, there's not one piece of paper, there's not one piece of evidence. It is unheard of to put a huge amount of money in the budget as a proposal and bring nothing with it. Hearsay of this, hearsay of that, he said this, he said that, they said this, they said that. It's not good enough. So in by the budget meeting, so we please have all the evidence in place, and what would really be is if we could have diagrams of where different things are proposed, because I can't picture the place altogether. There are 3 different elements to it. If we could just have diagrams of where they are on the park, that would really help.
Yeah, no problem. That's
Thank
fine.
you.
Okay, item number 12, report of the chair for the environmental committee.
Yeah, sorry.
Carry on.
That's okay. Like other committees, obviously, we spent some time just finally agreeing the proposals that we're going to put forward into the budget next year. Paul was at the meeting and was very helpful in just going through and giving us some clarification on things. We are still looking for members of the big Climate Leap working group. At the moment, it is Sarah, Helen and myself, but we are all from the Environmental Committee, and we really would like to see people coming from across the other committees as well, because it is something that will impact on everything we do. So, you know, we really need to have people coming in from the other
We've got 2 new
committees.
councillors coming in.
We have, so hopefully there might be some interest there, but that was the main thing we discussed. We're also looking at, we're going to be looking at setting up a workshop or some workshops next year as in January, around flood awareness, because we're, you know, obviously with what's happened these last few months and is potentially going to happen again, we feel it's really important that people are aware of how they can help themselves and to make sure that they have done everything they can to minimise the risk of flooding of their houses. So again, we've got a small working group that's meeting next week to look at getting those, and we're hoping that we might get input from National Resources Wales as well, and also that Dŵr Cymru provide free water baths. We haven't found out quite how you go about getting them, but that would obviously be a real help if we could hand them out as well.
So you do say.
Baths.
What's that?
The thing you carry with the water.
All right.
It goes.
Put on your downpipe.
Yeah, the dog.
Yeah.
So those were the main things that we looked at. Apologies for not having a written report. I
Tell you what, I'm devastated by it.
I know, I do apologise.
With the grant that you got for,
Jubilee Garden.
yes, what's happening with that, please?
Yeah, we have just had the designs back from, the name of the people escapes me. Anyway, the people we contracted to do it, and it looks fantastic, and it's taking into account the nature of the site, which obviously is not ideal in a lot of ways, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So now we've got that, the next stage obviously is for action, and hopefully the volunteers from Llanfair House to actually start on the actually planting, but that's obviously a job for sort of late winter, early spring.
If I could just make a comment on that, because it's so close to the road, I always worry that if you were there with kids and they could escape at the back. It's very close, it's straight.
There's no access from the road at all, but what we are looking to do is put something along the back that kind of deadens the noise a bit.
Yeah.
So that, you know, it is more of a quiet space. So we'd like to open up the front so that it's not a kind of space people can hide in, but put more growth at the back where it will absorb some of the noise and hopefully some of the pollution from Mumbles Road.
So, Chair, could I
Preferably prickly so they can't come over.
Quickly.
could I just as well, because
Oh, sorry, Sarah.
Rob has been.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to come in for the first time in my long history of the Jubilee Gardens and my constant disrespect for whatever's done there. It's the first time that I've actually thought, oh, this looks good, because it's aimed at drainage, which is what we all need at the moment on the Mumbles Road and on a lot of other places. So I'm really quite positive about this, to be honest. So good work.
Thank you. If I could ask Evelyn, if you wouldn't mind letting me call the people in online, because Mark was just in the middle of talking. And Carrie, would you like to?
So I was just going to say, Rob has been working really hard on this because obviously when it got handed over from Lydia, there was a little bit of an issue with regards to the SLA that was previously in place there. So there's been a lot of chasing to try and get this in place, which unfortunately we haven't been able to start the work until we've had that SLA in place. The grant funding needs to be spent by the end of March as well. So I know some of you would have picked up on that Rob is going to be involved in undertaking some of the groundwork with Ashley, and that's because of the timescale we've got to complete the project in now. And obviously the grant funding is vital to get that area up and running, and it'll be a really nice feather in the cap of council. And Ashley has actually been Rob has actually been speaking with Swansea City Council with regards to opening up the front of it on the prom and remove some of the shrubbery there. He's making inroads there as well, so that's really good.
So nice to see lots of things.
Designs, do any of councillors who are interested?
Yeah,
We have a copy of the design, so we could,
That'd be great, yeah.
yeah,
Maybe a
send
nice,
that out.
nice little blog post, maybe, if you've got the time to put it on
Blog
our
post.
blog. Yeah.
I can ask him to put it on the.
There we are.
Thank you.
Okay, so number 13 then. I'm assuming you finished.
No, that was it. For
Number 13, report from the Chair of the Culture and Tourism Committee, Angela. You froze? Oh, she is.
Hello, yeah. Yeah, nothing major to report, just to say thank you to Claire and to all those involved in helping and pull off the Newton afternoon tea, which was a success last week. And yeah, that's all from me. Thank you.
I'd just like to ask Ange, have you had a chance yet to bring up the fireworks issue inside the committee, or is that the next meeting over? That's my work, that is on
Yeah,
work.
we'll have a meeting. We will have a debrief on the fireworks, 100%. Well, the turned into the fireworks, the actual Santa night turn on of the Christmas lights. Yeah, we do need to have a debrief on that. That hasn't yet happened. And also there is no meeting in the month of December, so it will be in January.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone got any questions for Angela on that? No. Okay, so-
Well done. She does
Yeah.
see it.
And
It's the thing we get there.
you are right to say it was a great, very well received event, apart from the fireworks. Very busy, so well done, Anne.
It was really busy. Unfortunately, I was in Cardiff, so I couldn't get there.
Okay, number 14, committee recommendations to consider the recommendations to council made by committees and their September meetings. Where is this in my?
It's there.
No, it's in March. I think I missed that out of your packet. Here, you want me to print one off now quickly?
I'll just steal Martin. He's
Before.
giving me germs when he passes it over. Germs.
Suffering.
The printer now, well.
Okay, cool. So what else? We vote on these, Clark?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so recommendation, November meeting Finance Compliance Committee, Upper Norton Field Allotment Association grant application. So firstly, is there any questions on this to the Chair of Finance? No? Has everyone seen this or do they want me to read it out? Okay, I'll read it out. Grant application for £1,836 to contribute towards the completion of the boundary fencing along the eastern perimeter of the allotments. Councillor Townsend Jones, who has declared an interest in the agenda item at the outset of the meeting, gave a brief overview of the application. This centred around safety concerns, which included a beehive to the premises. Councillor Townsend Jones then left the meeting at 7:20, returned at 7:23 after the vote. During the discussion, councillors noted that financial contributions had been made by Welsh Government and the co-op. The application related to good local cause and match funding had been achieved. Recommendation, the grant of £1,836 to be made to the Upper Norton Allotment Association towards completion of a boundary fence from budget FC1. So is there any questions? I mean, I remember when the council was responsible for boundary fencing, at that point, obviously we didn't, I think a long time ago, we didn't support that, but obviously now I do see that as very different now, because obviously the council, Swansea Council, I should say, is no longer responsible for the allotments. So it's certainly got my support, and I think they're well used, and it's nice to keep them safe and secure. Does anyone have any questions? Or
Rebecca's.
Sorry, Rebecca.
Yeah, it's a general question. And just because I obviously have been off, I just wanted to know what was left in this year's allocation of that for that budget in terms of small, medium, and grants. What's the total sum that we have left?
I believe that the month before we were down to about 13,000 out of the 25 that originally went in.
Okay.
Might be slightly less than that, Rebecca.
Sure. Okay, if there's no further questions, we'll move to a vote on that. So the recommendation again, just to repeat that, the grant of £1,836 to be made to Upper Norton Allotments Association, probably, and you should declare it.
Yeah, I should.
Camera before. Do you want to declare it first? Yeah.
Sorry, I've forgotten. Because it wasn't a specific item, so I
Do you
will.
want to declare what your interest is on the?
Interest. It's a personal and prejudicial interest because I have an allotment on Upper Norton allotment field.
Thanks, Gary. We'll wait till you've left the room.
Sorry about that. I completely forgot about that.
Do we get shares in the queue?
Recommendation again, the grant.
Sorry, I may have a declaration of interest because I don't know which allotment my dad's just taken over. So I'm going to absent myself in case it's that one.
Okay, so you can turn your camera off then.
Yeah.
And disappear. There we are. So recommended that the grant £1,836 be made to Upper Norton Allotment Association towards the completion of a boundary fence. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Rebecca, you can turn your camera back on now.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Carrie. Okay, recommended in Social Committee held on the 20th of November, recommended to purchase and install 3 pieces of exercise equipment for West Cross Seafront. We haven't got the prices next to this recommendation. Does anyone have that information for me?
There was an allocation approved by a full council for 5,000 for 3 items of equipment.
Is that enough?
It is enough. There will be, I'll give you the figure if you just bear with me 1 moment, please.
Is it replacing the semi? Okay.
Yes, they've reached the end of their timeline. The cost of the 3 items will be £4,051, which includes purchase, transportation, installation, and as previously said, any sums of money will go into contingency fund.
Okay, so just to clarify then, Clark, is that am I taking Ian's amount there when I state that, or? Yeah, is that okay? Okay, so the recommendation is that we vote to approve £4,051 for 3 items of exercise equipment at West Cross Seafront. Or any questions? Sorry, all those in favour, I suppose. Gosh, that one. Yeah. Okay, next one, Environmental Committee recommended that the following planning permission being obtained from City County Swansea. And what was that? Okay. And they Friends of Clyne Environmental Committee members, the RFO to arrange the transfer of £6,000 to the Friends of Clyne to contribute towards a gazebo being installed at Clyne Park. Helen, just check, you're not a member of the Clyne Friends, yes? Okay, sorry, just check.
I have to speak to that if you need.
Yeah, I'd love to, yeah, go on, carry on.
Okay, right. What do we do?
No, I was just going to do it as chair, but Helen, you carry on.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah, this is money that was ring fenced from 2 years ago. To be put towards a gazebo. That 2 years is how long it's taken for the designs to be agreed and the planning permission to be sought and approved from Swansea Council. That's all now in place. They have the rest of the money now in place. So the 6,000 will make up the full cost of the erection and finishing of the gazebo, which is basically it's a permanent structure rather than, you know, the ones at the moment, which obviously are, you know, subject to wind damage.
Helen, do you want to mention something on that?
Yeah, so it was originally an MCC idea, I think prior to my time. We brought loads of partners because we, as Carrie said, because we couldn't really felt it was too big for us. They have kindly taken on, they've done the plan of permission, they brought a lot of extra funding in, and we can share pictures of the structure. I don't know what it's called, you know, that kind of old fashioned oaky, rustic, crookens thing. It's a wooden structure. The structure itself is really beautiful, and it's been taken forward by local business with local wood. So it'll look really beautiful. It'll be an asset. And Clyne Gardens, Tyvion, the gardener there, everyone's really in support of it.
That's great.
Just to explain, the key reason why we handed it to Friends of Clyne Gardens to be responsible is, of course, that, you know, otherwise we would find ourselves responsible for the maintenance going, and they're obviously in a better position than we are to actually take that on.
So they're in control of the project there, and they can put people on, and it's a good idea. Just a couple of questions from me. Site, how big is it? Like, how many people can sit underneath it? Is it near the cafe? And have you thought about fire risk?
I'm almost certain that Tyvion and Swansea Council and the planning department have.
So treated timber, maybe that's.
Yeah. It's going to be where the current temporary one is. So just across from the touring T-van.
And how big is it, sorry?
It's about, I think it's about
5 by 5, I think.
5, yeah, 4 meters square.
Just pass photos around.
Put it on the WhatsApp group.
But yeah.
Is it big enough for the council to go al fresco?
We probably could fit these tables in under it. But it's open on all sides, so it doesn't have any sides or back.
Yeah, it looks
Is that a sailcloth or something?
Yeah, I think it is.
Slate.
Okay, great. I'll just.
It's going to be slate.
Yeah. Claimed slate, yeah.
What slate?
Yeah. Claimed. Pass it round.
It's been around there.
It's lovely.
All right, great. Just bring us back then. So I think we have the opportunity to ask any questions on that. So
Sticking with it for 2 years until it actually came through.
cool. All right, guys. All those in favour? Thank you. It's carried. Culture, Tourism and Communication Committee recommended that MCC purchase floral displays using the Peak free option at cost of £11,521. Okay.
These are the floral displays that we pay for every year.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah.
through our numbers, which are,
So it's the standard ones that we put round the whole of the LGBT area, yeah.
Okay, so what is the extra cost that's associated with the peat-free option? Do we know that information?
I had a feeling when it came to it, when Sarah and I first argued the case for that, actually the cost didn't change significantly.
I don't think it was.
No, it was barely any different to what we were being quoted anyway.
So just to confirm, this has been in our budget previously, yeah? The floral displays
For
and it's,
many years.
and yeah, and this is just, it's not an extension of that, it's just repeating. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Just a thought. Are you doing hanging baskets?
Me personally, no,
No.
no. No, that went into culture budget, so we don't.
Planters that we talk.
Yeah.
Okay, Angela, I saw your hand up first, then it went down. You wanted to say something or?
No, it was just on when you said how much more it was. Off the top of my memory, I think it might have been like £1,600 or something. But I think it's recommended that we go with the peat-free option, and it is something that's always been in there.
Second, Sarah, just calling the clerk in a second.
Yeah. So it's 3 lamppost baskets, top of West Cross Lane, 16 cupping saucers, 16 barrier traps, 3 chair fountains, 9 base units and 12 tree baskets.
Should be the price.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah, do you want to come in?
I was just going to say the peat-free option, it's a good thing and it doesn't cost that much more and it's worth doing,
Yeah,
we should
we've
be
had
reading.
it free for the last 3 years.
Next year anyway.
Okay, everyone's had an opportunity to ask any questions on that. So all those in favour? Okay, thanks, that's supported. Okay, so we're on. Item number 15, confirm councillor Fogarty as member of environmental.
Sorry, Chair, there's another recommendation, I think.
Is there 2 pages? I've only got one. Oh,
It's,
that's something on the back. Is there, what do you mean?
There's another one from culture, and in fact, there's 2.
I've only got this.
Have you looked at the plan?
Yeah, I've got one. I've got this.
My laptop.
I've got the baby lot. One, yeah.
That was the peat free, then you go on to that one. And the baby lost.
Oh yeah, that's the one I haven't got. I haven't got this one. So I haven't used it. Yeah, if you don't mind. Then. Oh, I have got that. It's just underneath that. Sorry, Carrie. Yeah. Sorry, it's not. It's not bolded. Okay, recommended that the public make recommendations for nominees to be considered for the Honour of Mumbles Award. Each nominee will require a proposer and seconder for council to go forward to a full council committee meeting, where either 1 or 2 nominees will be awarded the Honour of Mumbles. The award will be presented by the chair of MCC and the chair of Culture Committee during the Mumbles Fest. So if you remember, many years ago, we used to do the Honour of Mumbles. It was Helen Mitchell's thing, so she used to do a lot of work on that. And we used to have an event where they'd invite their families to it and there'd be a sit-down dinner, and it was very popular and very good. But obviously that's a lot of work and requires a lot more money. So we're trying to be a bit more conservative with the budget. So the idea is that you can propose, as a councillor, you can propose someone. So if someone, a member of the public, approaches you and says, "Could you propose this person?" That's fine, but only councillors can propose someone, and you need a seconder, so 2 of you, for the Honour of Mumbles. And then a meeting at Mumbles Community Council would then, whoever votes, we'd have to vote on who receives that honour that year. I think we should, personally, I think we should limit it to 2. So no more than 2, just to make sure that it's, again, just there might be occasions where we wish we hadn't done that, but, it becomes a bit more of an honour, I think, then. And yeah, so then it would be presented at Mumbles Fest. Is there any questions on the process of that or the idea behind it?
I just feel that it's, all that happens is that people who kind of make the most noise are the ones that get nominated, and all the people who are just working away, you know, without promoting themselves, saying anything about it, will just get overlooked. And I just don't think it's something that has any benefit at all, because it'll just end up going to, I don't know,
I
you know,
disagree.
random
As
people.
councillors, we know who, we know those people who work behind the scenes and ask for no
But
recognition.
they often don't want to be
We
pulled
should
up and,
ask.
you know.
We should ask.
Anyway,
I mean,
I don't like the idea of it.
Okay, Rich.
Going from what Carrie said, I agree with you. Well, that's life generally. But the fact says it's a good thing to do. I think we should do it, but use a bit of common sense and find the people that don't shout out for themselves. And we shout out at them.
Yeah, it's our job to find those people, exactly. I remember Mark Portsmouth obviously sadly passed away recently, and one of the things that it was on the Facebook post from the cricket club, one of the things they mentioned was the honour of Mumbles that he received that. So it's obviously something people do hold quite dear to their heart. So I do think we should bring it back, and it's Kerry, yeah.
Who's going to get his BEM medal?
Rob, sorry.
Was it criteria that was, you know, the criteria that you had for the people to follow for the, like, I know you've just said that they had to be seconded, proposed and seconded. Was there, you know?
I can't remember what I had for lunch there. I don't know. I think by putting this in place, a proposer and seconder from a council, and then a council discussion on who should be deployed. I mean, you're right that there should be some kind of guidelines or things that if they.
Work, charity work, contribution to cover everything. I'm just curious, that's all. I'm not trying to make problems.
Yeah, no, I think we can certainly maybe push that over to culture. It's a good point, and maybe we could ask Angela to add it to their next committee meeting, and maybe someone could come up with some policy on it. But for now, I think we don't want to go into the. So.
But just to keep it as diverse as possible, not to make that funnel it in towards one kind of person.
Okay. Helen, do you want to comment?
I've got strong views either way, but for Martin suggested one thing once, it's kind of similar, about that we do something for the people who volunteer for MCC every year. I just wondered if we are going to go ahead with the honour of Mumbles, he suggested we do it in Mumbles Fest. I just wonder whether, you know, doing it at an event where you bring in other volunteers and making a bit of a fuss of the people who week in, week out there serving tea. I feel doing that in a broader context would be better at Mumbles Fest. It might just be a bit lost at Mumbles Fest.
It could be, and look, I mean, that's not it doesn't have to be done at Mumbles Fest. I think it's just a way of saving money, but maybe they could.
Not a forced idea, but I just the context of what Martin suggested, I like that.
Okay. Rebecca?
Thanks. Yeah. I guess I'm broadly supportive. I myself was nominated as a community hero once, but gosh, the echo really is awful, isn't it? I was warned, but it's horrific. And it does.
Hang on, Rebecca. Ian's going to mute us so that you don't get an echo.
Oh, thank you. Is that better? Yes, no echo. Okay, thank God for that. Yes, it does make a big difference, I think, to people who are often toiling away, not because they're looking for some special recognition, but actually do appreciate it when it comes. So I totally support it. I wouldn't limit it to 2, because actually our community is full of unsung heroes, and I would want them all to be recognised. And I don't think it cheapens it in any way to have it as a big celebration of all that community effort. I guess my only hesitation and query would be around what level of due diligence we would do on anybody that has been nominated, just because, you know, the chances of this happening are really, really small. But, you know, if somebody is nominated, seconded, we don't, you know, the rest of council don't really know them, and they just go on what's said, and then suddenly we discover, I don't know, that, you know, they've got a horrific social media profile or something like that. That is reputationally damaging for the council. However, it's all got to be proportional, hasn't it? Because we're a community council and this is a small time award. So I'm just wondering where that level of due diligence is going to be set.
Rebecca makes some good points there, and I think there's no shortage of honours being revoked in Westminster and other places. So you know, I think we can only do our best. But yeah, I agree. We should maybe put that in our policy, and they should talk about it in culture. So yeah, but that's something to talk about in detail another time, I think. Sarah, then.
Yeah, very similar. It's that's my concern, is that these days it's not like in the past when Helen was doing it, Helen Mitchell was doing it. Nowadays you can look on Facebook, find something, a comment somebody made 10 years ago, and you go, oh my gosh, and everyone knows. And if we're saying this person is to be held up, you know, people on pedestals can often get knocked down, and it would be awful for that person to be put under that much scrutiny. So we'd have to be very careful how we do it and how we handle it these days. Thanks.
Yes, anyone, Rob?
Yeah, I support this. I think there are a lot of people in the community who deserve recognition for what they do, and that's why I would vote to keep it at a small number each year, so it doesn't cheapen the actual award. And you know, it's not like these MBs, OBs, and whatever are given out willy-nilly to people who don't actually deserve them for doing their jobs, but they're awarded to people who don't look for the recognition and have made a massive contribution to the community without gaining financially or any other way for it. They've done it out of, you know, wanting to do well for the community at their own cost, not even cost, but you know, their own volunteer, their time that they've given and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd support it, but I'd want to keep it as a set number per year.
Rich?
In a nutshell, I think we all agree it's a good idea. We don't need terrorist or sex offenders going on it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's hope not. Anyway, yes. Fingers crossed. Okay, so I think when it sorry, Pam, yeah, carry on.
How about two per ward?
I mean, I don't really, I see us as a community personally, like a, you know,
We want sort of 8 people from one ward and none from anybody else, and it'll also make us as councillors go out and look.
we should be doing that.
Whatever you need to look,
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say, but I think, you know, I think we are one big community, right? There's a couple of arbitrary lines which determine where we come from, but we are all from Mumbles, aren't we?
I'd like to see them distributed fairly amongst all 4.
Well, I think that certainly there's been some comments on numbers and things like that, and I think they're obviously going to be talking about the detail of the policy in more detail in the next culture meeting. So what I would recommend is, if you feel strongly about that, if you email Angela and she can discuss it when they're looking at the policy level, and maybe, you know, go into that sort of detail at that meeting. And when we get the policy back, but I think just putting this in some framework that we can carry on with this and push this forward for now. And then we can look at it in more detail at a later date. Rebecca? Oh, sorry, Angela. Sorry.
No, I was just thinking, I like the idea and to take on board what Carrie said about the type of person that does a lot, obviously may shy away from it, and it is part of our role, I suppose, to find those people. But also there is scope, I suppose, to do something like a Mumbles Community Awards, find a person who, you know, helps out with a number of the litter picks voluntarily, you know, voluntarily coaches the football or the cricket, you know, whatever it may be locally that does some really good stuff. I mean, there's scope to make it bigger, but obviously that may come at additional cost, but willing to talk about that in committee and explore.
We can't hear you, but you're looking at me, so nod if I'm
Yeah,
okay to
everyone
speak.
frozen
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I support what Helen's original point, which was about volunteers and tying it into something that's about volunteering, which is kind of what Angela's just said, actually maybe recognising volunteering across the community. I just wanted to put out there that there's some people who actually are not living in Mumbles but do an awful lot for the residents of Mumbles, and I think there's a question mark over how we recognise that. But I personally think I would be, if there's a really strong case that they are contributing to the life and of the community of Mumbles, I think that they also should be in scope.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think again that's something that maybe you could make the committee aware of, because that should be included.
Budget, does Angela have a meeting before we go to budget so that she could put a lot of money away if you want it, rather than being manifest, if you want to have it do here? Will it give Angela a chance to put a small budget away to cover that?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's proposed that it's announced at Mumbles Fest, so it'd literally be, if it was 2, for example, it would be a production of not something that's something like something like that.
If we moved away from the fest to make it as bigger as that people have suggested.
Yeah,
we put something in the budget, and if it's not spent in the end because we go a different way, but at least there'll be some money there for Angela to play with.
Yeah, Clark, do we need to talk about budget to attach that to this now, or well, the recommendation is what's on here? Do you mean budget recommendation? On here?
Yeah.
That the public make recommendations for nominations to be considered for the Honour of Mumbles Award. Each nominee will require a proposer and seconder from Mumbles, from the councillors, to go forward to full council committee meeting.
Any financial cost included.
Oh yeah, there we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's covered. Yeah, it's covered at the bottom there. Angela, got your hand up. We could bring this to.
No, just off the back of what Pam just said, if we put in the budget for what, 200 quid or whatever it may be, is it worth upping that now? I know it's not going to get agreed now necessarily, but if we just upped the amount now, can we not do that?
It's covered in here. It says any financial cost incurred will be covered through the future environment of the underspend budget. So it is actually covered there. Yeah. Okay, so what I think we're voting on here is that, there is a lot more that needs to be considered here. Angela, you're happy to take that up in your committee and, add some meat on the bone. So if anyone's got anything, but so we will maybe edit this in the future. So for now, all those in favour? Thank you, it's carried. Okay. Baby loss awareness. The chair, Angela O'Connor, outlined, this is obviously culture committee, outlined how she had been made aware of baby loss awareness and that arranging for part of the Ostrom to be illuminated during specific periods such as awareness days. Such events could be advertised throughout social media and the MCC website. The cost should be within £400, with funding being provided through the environment of funds. Obviously, Swansea Council do this on the Guildhall a lot, so it's quite standard and shows support for various things. Does anyone like to ask any questions or comments, Carrie?
Yeah, just as are we saying that we would follow Swansea Council's kind of calendar? Because otherwise, how would we decide? Who on what day for what, and that could, there's maybe some things that people may feel less positive about than others. So by saying we just follow Swansea Council's kind of calendar, it would take those arguments out of it.
Certainly be the easiest way to administer it. Martin?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm having a bit of trouble talking, but I will talk. I think following Carrie's suggestion, and I think yes, but I think this would give us the possibility maybe of then doing some local things as well, which we could do to augment what Swansea Council are doing.
So Swansea Council plus.
Yeah, Swansea, and like
as always.
Yeah, because there are the big events, you know, like baby loss awareness, you know, we can do something like that, the AIDS awareness, breast cancer awareness, what have you, but there could be other than local events maybe, which I thought we could do as well.
Okay, so sorry, Rebecca, I didn't see you there. Can you carry on?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, thank you to, I'm recording again. Firstly, thank you to Angela and the committee for bringing up Baby Loss Awareness Week. I think that's really important, campaign for us to support. My question was similar to Carrie's though, around, is it, so also financially, is it £400 and that would allow us to illuminate every day for a different day of the year, or is that just for the Baby Loss Awareness Week? Because if we're going to illuminate, you mentioned Swansea Council, they have a whole calendar and it's actually quite an art making sure that you've got the right colour on the right day, and there's clashing days and clashing colours, and I think that might need a little bit more thinking through, but very supportive of us recognising baby loss awareness. Thanks. I think, are you pointing at Angela?
Yes.
There you go, Ange. Thanks.
Sorry, I think you're in the office, might be on mute. But yes, we should look at what exactly Swansea City's Council is, in case there is too much for us to handle. If this suggests there's an awful lot of dates there with events, but I think ultimately yes, we can follow the big dates from them. Some ones that they may or may not partake in, but I think also it gives us an opportunity to raise awareness for whatever particular day or week it may be, and also we can showcase that on social media, etc. too.
Thanks, Ange. Yeah, I think obviously what we don't want is it offending people by missing something out, and also we don't want it being politicised in any way. So as long as those things, we bear those in mind. So obviously, again, there's more work to be done on this in your committee, but for the sake of budget and everything, if there's no more questions, move forward to a vote. So all those in favour? Yes, carried. How are we doing for time, by the way? Has anyone got our...
Yeah. I bet to get through some.
Okay. Number 15, confirmation of Councillor Fogarty as member of the Environmental Committee. All those in favour? Yeah. And item 16 has been taken off.
Yeah.
Number 17, to dismiss. Sorry, additional funding for pavilion. Sorry. No, if you just want to let Francesca talk to it first, please.
Reason why it's come to full committee on the recommendation of the RFO, going off the back of a meeting recently. So some of you may know that I've been working along with Will and Angela with the Mumbles Bowls Pavilion. So I've got through the first stage of grant funding to refurb it. At the moment, it's all been costed, and I am waiting for the cost to come back. There is no sort of upper limit on the amount that we can be granted. However, I've got to put 30% towards the overall cost. I know with MCC we have got £5,000 ready. However, I can imagine it's going to be a little bit more than that. What I don't want to find is that whenever that quote comes in, that we've got a shortfall and I've got to reduce the overall funding. Obviously, I want to try and get the most out of Swansea Council in the nicest way possible, because ultimately, as you know, we are in the process of doing a CAT, which is the community asset transfer. That's had to be put on hold because of the grant. So obviously, it is going to be an asset that we're going to take control of, hopefully, all being well. And obviously, I want it to be in the best possible condition before we take that on, because otherwise, if we take that on in the state that it's in, it's going to cost us money. So therefore, I am bringing it to the full council to ask for additional money, please.
So,
I'm happy to
Clark,
take questions.
if the amount of money isn't on the agenda, is that a discussion that we can have?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. Okay, so how much firstly?
So, as I mentioned, I haven't had the quotes back yet. So
Give us
it's, you know, at the moment we've got 5,000, haven't we? So
Yeah.
even if we increase that by another 5,000, I would like to be in that position.
Yeah.
It's about 10
Okay,
towards
so
that.
potentially, let's start the conversation around that then,
So it's
10,000.
additional 5,000.
Okay, and the reason, again, this has come directly is because of the time pressure of the grant, correct? And the RFO has recommended that
Yes.
it goes past the committee because of that. Okay, Pam?
What are we talking about?
Exactly what I just said. So
It's so woolly. Are we talking about a new roof, new walls? I know what you just said, I understood the word you said, but there's nothing for us to look at. There's no paperwork. We don't know what we're talking about. There are no quotes. We don't know what we're looking at. Is the toilet coming down? Is that part of the refurb? Are you keeping that old disgusting toilet? Is that coming out?
exactly that. So hence you've probably seen the toilets. They're absolutely.
What are you asking for money for?
Right, so what I'm asking money for is to be in a position, so if Swansea can, and I'm happy once I've had those quotes back, obviously I'm happy to share that with everybody. But obviously I'm not in a position to provide you quote at the moment. Swansea Council are doing that. And obviously depending on how much money we can put towards that, it's going to hamper how much work we can facilitate.
What's it considered £40,000?
If you could let her finish her point.
What if it comes, you keep saying when the grants were coming, what if it comes in as I would expect it to be around 50,000?
Probably could be around 40,000.
Can I jump in here, right? So what Francesca's doing is she's applying to Swansea Council to get grant funding, right? Now, the more she gets from us, the more she can ask for from them. Until there is a figure, we don't know how much works that we can afford or will want to do. So I think there's much more work as the detail of what we actually do coming later on, but we need a ballpark figure to work on as a budget so that she can apply for grant on that.
Are we talking match funding? Is that what you're talking about?
No, so it's I've got to have 30% to go towards that grant. So they're going to pay 75 up to 70%.
Right, now you're giving that for the first time.
No, I haven't.
30%. You haven't mentioned 30%.
Over the details.
No, well, I'm not going over the details because it's public money. If you want 30%, what's 30% of £50,000?
Yeah. So as soon as I have all these details, 15, yeah. So
2% of 50,000 is
15.
That's my answer. I'm asking for it.
I think it's no. I mean, I'm happy to up it, but I thought £5,000 in a position of having 10 grand towards that. I'm happy to put some from my budget. Sorry.
No, I'm just sticking my finish.
Okay.
Yeah, Carrie, go on, do you wanna?
No, fantastic.
No, sorry, you're shy. You meant to ask the people to come
Have
in.
you finished?
Yeah, finished.
To obviously reiterate what Francesca has said, obviously, when I came on board, the cap transfer of Mumbles, Bowling Pavilion and Bowling Green was something that this council had an appetite for and were very keen on. I met Francesca down there to have a look at what we were taking on because I had concerns that we only had £5,000 in the budget and there was a lot of work that needs to be done there. Francesca's gone away and obviously got Swansea City Council to say, okay, we'll give you grant funding to make the asset to a standard before we actually complete the cap transfer. So, okay, Francesca's asking for 30% to match fund, but in the long run, that's going to save us a lot more money than had we have just gone ahead with the cap transfer and taken the asset as it currently is at the moment. So obviously you can agree an amount tonight for Francesca, or you can say, we agree up to X amount, or we agree just a flat amount. It's, it's entirely up to council.
Okay, Pam, you have.
I know.
If you make a really quick point.
Yeah, the quick point is plans.
Where are the plans? I'm waiting exactly that. So I'm waiting for all the quotes to come in. So we've done an on-site inspection, gone through everything in terms of toilets, accessible toilets, cladding, everything, roof, the whole lot.
I can see you online, but can we go on first? Carrie, go on.
I just think, we would, if we say, okay, £10,000 and then it comes in at £200,000, we've achieved nothing. I think we have to have some indication. Swansea Council must have an indication of how much this is going to.
That's exactly what they're doing at the moment. That's what I just said.
Can we just defer this until the time when we have that? Because you're asking us to just put our fingers in the air and say, and you haven't said, where's this money going to come from? Nothing.
Yeah, I understand your, hang on, I do understand your concerns there. However, we wouldn't have to go ahead with the project. If it did come back at 200,000, of course we would go, hang on, that's a bit silly, we're not going to do it. So I don't think that is a risk. Phil, there's two people online before yourself, sorry. Rebecca?
Thanks. I'm just gonna go slow for a minute so you can put yourselves on mute so I don't have the horrible echo. Great. Yeah, so from where we're sitting online, that initial exchange about this project got very heated very quickly. And as a result, I don't think we got the information that actually would be really helpful. So obviously, Sarah and I are really familiar with this scheme as well, because we have a project that's going through the same grant application. I think it's worth pointing out to other councillors that ward members can contribute to that 30% themselves. So in the event that we decide 10 grand and actually 30% is 20 grand, then Francesca, Will and Angela can decide to top that up themselves. So I don't know that necessarily is a make or break for the project. Obviously that's for them to agree their own budget, but I'm just saying like there's flexibility in that, which in my view is actually a point in its favour. Well, I guess it's all very well and good saying that you're waiting for quotes to come back, but you surely had a list, like a shopping list or a wish list or whatever, that you've gone away, asked Swansea Council to go away and quote for. Like with our project, we said we want these accessible steps, this hard standing, this bridge, and then come back and can you just give us what that list is? I think that would be really helpful. I understand it would be even better if we had actual prices attached to those, but what is the scale of the project that you're, is it the roof? Is it is it just painting and decorating? What is it that you're actually asking Swansea Council to quote for? That would really inform the rest of us, I think.
Do you know good as something I can?
Yeah, but yeah, do you want to, Sarah, good point, yeah, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, all of what Rebecca said and Carrie said, a little bit more facts, but also if you're dealing with a toilet, is it going to be an accessible toilet? Are you going to have, an adult changing room? It's all the stuff that you could add on added value, but we need to know facts and we need to know how much roughly, ballpoint figure, or just like Rebecca said, a shopping list of what you want to achieve. And then we'll know what we're jumping in for. Right, but it's great. We've been waiting ages to have this, so it's all positive. Thanks.
Okay. Nobody else? No. Oh,
Richard?
With what Clark said, is there any way we could say we agree to perhaps 10,000 for now? Because we've been waiting years for this, and it is a state. And then, if more is needed, which, as Pam pointed out, are you asking for enough? Probably not. There's a quick way of authorising more, if necessary.
Do it at the next meeting through underspend.
But could that take too much time?
We could have an emergency meeting.
Yeah, we could.
Suppose.
so, yeah, just only quickly. So just picking up, yeah, totally aware that just can contribute to the overall. However, it is going to be a Mumbles MCC set basically. So hence why I'm coming to MCC first, because I would like it to be passed over from Swansea City Council into at least a half decent state. Yeah, more than happy to provide that shopping list. But as I mentioned earlier, it is everything from top bottom. So from the roof, because there's no point putting a lick of paint in it if actually you've got the wood there, which is rotten and seen better days. So it is literally the pavilion itself. Obviously, we're not looking at the green. It is the pavilion itself from the top down to the bottom, right through to wooden cladding on what's called the pensioner's hat. The back of the pensioner's hat, you've got a toilet where it would hopefully be an accessible toilet, which I mentioned as well. So it is literally covering. There's no point me going in with just wanting half-assed on stuff. I wanted the whole lot costed at, so I could actually have a full sale. Pam,
sorry, Pam. We've all had a long chat about this, so you have to move on. Okay. Firstly, thank you. Helen, you haven't spoken yet.
I do think it's an important project. I think it's important to the character of Mumbles, and I would just want to make the point that I'm in support of it, but any changes would need to be in keeping. So if
100%. That's why I want it to be brought back to its former. That's what I did state. Because it's a disgrace, really.
And there's a heritage coordinator of the council which should work on that as well. So
What did you just say?
Heritage Coordinator Swansea Council, that, you know, look, the planning. Right, firstly, I think well done, because it's a lot of work. I know how much work you've put into this, so, you know, well done. And obviously it's a big project. MCC's been trying to get over the line for years, and this is a potential, you know, we're arguing over £5,000 here, but this is actually one of our really big projects on the table, and some of the things we spend £5,000 on, we don't even think about. Sorry, this is recorded. Let me change my. For me, this is great value for money, and it'll make a big difference to the village. So well done. What we're going to propose here is that there's a potential 10,000 instead of 5,000 in the budget for Mumbles Bowls Pavilion, which would go towards the match funding at Swansea Council. So all those in favour? Oh, Gary was so close. Well.
Who was the proposer and who was?
Francesca's the proposer, and happy to second. Yeah, thanks. Okay. So discussing a relocation of MCC benches. Is that yourself? Okay. Try and, you know, if we can try and.
I'm so happy to see this.
Oh no! Don't take that the wrong way. I'm just saying. No. Sorry.
Circles on these down benches between myself and Kerry. I know. Basically, by mid-December, benches MCC, which are located in Knightsbrown, basically they need to be gone.
I went.
Like,
So can you just clarify first? We're talking about the benches that are in storage, not the picnic table.
Not the picnic table.
Just.
Picnic. I
wish we could.
No.
Benches.
Benches.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Benches which have sat lovely in the Knightsbrown depot in the car park for all these months. Basically, they have relocated 12 of them into Mumbles. There is still some left over. Yeah. Basically, they need to make a decision. Obviously, we don't want Mumbles to be the graveyard of benches. So can we make a decision? The council have offered that they can be repurposed, because I think I would hate to see them just being chucked. I want to see them being recycled elsewhere. If we have no appetite for them to be reused in MCC, please can we give the authority to Swansea Council to repurpose them elsewhere in the authority, please? And again, happy to take very short questions.
Yeah.
So I could do with, and if I need, I know, so I could do say 5, I can get the figure exactly, but the thing that really stopped me from doing it before was the £600.
Yeah.
So is it still £600? Some of the benches that need replacing are already on concrete stands. Majority of them are.
Okay.
So if they're already on concrete stands, do you know what the cost is? Because I will take
to take that off and ask, because I'm going to do it tomorrow morning and save everybody's time tonight. I'll get back to you tomorrow at 5.
Yeah, thank you.
Please, can we have some benches near the bus stop, you know, outside the fairy shop with the silly
because we're doing a development in the new year.
Yeah, hoping to do a big
extent to the bus shelter.
But if you put, I think if 2 benches there, people could see the buses coming up from Lansing.
So the bus stop, we're getting loads more seats. We're getting like 20 odd seats at the bus stop. So which
yes,
right.
Wheelchair is extended
outwards. I'll send you a copy of the plan.
It's a good idea. But I tell you why. It's because we're extending it. Send you a plan.
Yeah, one of the places that I think we agreed we would have one was in Norton Nature Reserve, up next to Steve's Acton tree, because you can sit up there and you can look down, right, because it's raised right down over the bay, and so we did.
Platform,
So I think what's going on here, obviously Francesca's brought this to council 3-4 times, spoken about this 3 or 4 times, so I think it's quite frustrating, and obviously it's got to the point where they're like, right, we're going to throw them. Can we use them other places? So she's been bounced around everywhere, trying her best to put them somewhere.
It's been relocated in Mumbles ward, and they just want to leave in 12 free.
But if what these questions like Carrie's, they'd address that to Swansea Council then, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was just going to.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that'd be great.
So
sorry, I don't want to, so I will check on the 5 Alan, onto the one for Norton, and then I'll be happy, oh golly, not another one, okay.
It's all right. Go on, finish what you're saying first. Well, Rebecca, I know you're there, don't worry.
And can we just agree then that the remainder, they can be repurposed elsewhere?
Yeah, elsewhere in Swansea.
Apologies, the sound is awful if more than one person is speaking at a time, so this might be the question that was just asked. But if we then have somewhere that we want a bench to go, and Swansea Council have agreed to take them on, are we then able to make representations to Swansea Council to have them put the bench in the place that we want it to go? Because I think the problem has been the logistics of getting them moved, hasn't it, and set in the right places.
The reason why this has probably gone round in the circles is because the cost, I think many of us will remember that. I priced up a Swansea Council to relocate the 22 benches and it came to something like 20,000. So yeah, I don't think that's a good use of public funds. Despite
benches actually, wasn't it? They quoted us that.
I can't even remember, but I know the quote was whatever it was extortionate.
Yeah.
So this is why I will speak to Swansea Council again as a last resort tomorrow to see if there is anything that can be done, and I will come back. But I think really 2 options is that if they're not prepared to put them in for us or relocate them for us, that can we either agree that they just totally go elsewhere within the ward unless they can do it for free? Can we? I don't know if that may need to be amended.
Okay, so there's no more questions on this. So the recommendation, correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm sure someone will. The recommendation is that we try to relocate the benches inside the MCC ward, but for those that can't be, are made available to Swansea Council to relocate in Swansea County Council.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favour? Yeah. Thanks for that.
We finally get that.
You just need a proposer and seconder exclusion of the press and public. Yeah, called in. Thanks.
We're going into closed session.
Talking a lot of one too.
Yeah. Cheers, again. Yeah.
It's like, what's it, man?